Alright, my name is Amar M. Sharif, and I'm your presenter into this lecture. I'm going to be discussing a hematology topic called the component of blood. So basically, we all have heard about the terminology blood. So to give a quick overview, the blood is a specialized body fluid, and it is most commonly referred to as a fluid connective tissue. That means the blood is a connective tissue that appears in the form of a fluid. So there are components that make up the blood with specific functions. So we all know that the blood has so many functions, such as protection, transportation, and etc. But then there are components this blood is made of. So let's get into this. So the blood is basically made of four major components. Now the first component of the blood we must know is that the blood has what we call the plasma. Now the plasma, also referred to as the blood plasma, it constitutes a very huge percentage of the blood. So the next component of the blood is referred to as the erythrocyte. So the erythrocyte is also referred to as the red blood cell or the RBC. That's another name for the erythrocyte. And I will give the functions of each of these components step by step. The next one is the leukocyte. Now the leukocyte is also referred to as the WBC. Okay? And the last name we have something called the thrombocyte. Now the thrombocyte is what we refer to as the platelets. Now, basically these four components of the blood, this is the fluid portion of the blood, and this one is a cell, this one is a cell, and this one is a cell. And everyone has its own function. So to understand what I'm trying to say, if you look at an individual, you understand that if you take a person to the lab and you want to study this component of the blood, first of all, you take the person to the lab and put your tourniquet on the person, and then you withdraw the blood from the person's body. You place the blood into a continuum. So a continuum, that is a test tube. So when you place the blood into a test tube and centrifuge it for some minutes, what happens is that the blood appears in the test tube in this form. So in this form that the blood will appear in this test tube, it will appear in two major forms in the same four components. But the two major forms, one, it appears in this form here, which will be a yellowish form referred to as a plasma component. Now, this plasma component, it contains about 55% of the entire blood. Alright? Then the next thing here is that this plasma component, imagine you are traveling and then you are using a highway. So the highway that you are traveling on to get to another destination is similar like the plasma. The plasma is just like a highway that allows cars to move through it so that they can get to their destination. So the plasma is where we have almost all of these different substances occurring in these cells. So from the plasma, we will have this section down here that is referred to as the foam elements. So the foam elements is made of components. And so between the foam element and the plasma, there is a thin white reflection bag between here or layer. This layer is called the buffer coat. The buffer coat. Now, the buffer coat contains two cells, the leukocyte and that of the thrombocyte. So the leukocyte, or we say the WBC. Now the WBC, which is formed in the buffer coat, and the platelets. Alright, so they are formed in the buffer coat. Then at the basement, the most heavier or dense material in the basement because they have been centrifuged. This is the what? The erythrocytes you are seeing here, or the RBC. Remember, we see that another name for the erythrocyte is RBC. Alright? So this portion now, if you put all of them together, is called a foam element. Now these are the foam elements, right? So the foam elements contains the buff is there in the buffer code. We have two of the foam elements. That is the white blood cells and the platelets. And when you get below the white blood cell, the buffer code, we have the RBCs, which is also referred to as the erythrocyte. So now let's dive into them individually. So we want to now discuss the plasma component. All right. So the plasma component, or the blood plasma component, it has a very unique function. One, they are divided into two categories. All right. So the two categories that the plasma component is divided into is we have the water component and the solute component. All right. So the water component and the solute component are the component that the plasma is subdivided into. Now, the water component of the plasma has a very unique function. It made of 90% of the plasma. So that water component is like a matrix that will have all other dissolving materials formed in. And these dissolving material or dissolved substances are referred to as the solute. All right. So basically, there is an ingredient here which is WEPNNRH. Now, WEPNNRH is just an ingredient to give an entire breakdown of the plasma components. All right. So the WEPNNRH, one, this W refers to the water component. Like I said, the plasma is divided into two components, water and solute. So there's the water component. Now the water component, what the water component do? So we say water. Now the water component, what it does is that the water absorbs heat. Alright? Then apart from absorbing heat, it serves as a medium for dissolving substance. Alright? So it serves as a medium for dissolving substance, and it also absorbs heat. That is the main function of the water component of the plasma. Now, the E here represents something called electrolytes. Now, what are electrolytes? Electrolytes are substances that conduct electricity when they are dissolved in water. So, in the human body, electrolytes are minerals that we consume, and they are form part of our body. So, once you consume these electrolytes, they dissolve into the plasma. They are capable of conducting electricity. So they can regulate the body, they can maintain some of the organs, and they can also maintain the osmotic pressure of the body. So the electrolytes are divided into two components in our body. We have one called the cations. Now the cations, they are group of minerals that are positively charged, meaning the ions that are formed on there, these are positively charged ions. All right. So what are some of the positively charged ions? So we have sodium. Sodium is one of them. Calcium, potassium, and so on. So I think some of us know some of these minerals. Sodium, calcium, potassium, they are very significant. Most especially some of them help in nerves conductivity, muscle conductivity, or electrons conductivities, and etc. They are there to maintain the body. Then For the anion, sorry, so we said this one means positive ion, and for the anion, they are negative ions. All right. So the negative ions, we have, for example, negative ion. We have chloride. All right. So we can also write this as Cl minus. Okay. As chloride, we can write this also as Na plus. All right. We say Ca plus anion, and we can say K plus. Okay. So anyway you see them, this is just a chemical symbol, and this symbol goes to this, right? So we have chloride, we have phosphate, all right, and we also have bicarbonate also. Right, and etc. Good. So these electrolytes are minerals that are formed within the plasma that helps the body to regulate fluid balance and etc. So next is the plasma protein. All right. So now the plasma protein. The plasma protein, these are proteins formed within the plasma. Specifically, they are involved in a whole lot of functions in terms of regulation, in terms of immune functions, in terms of enzymatic function, and in terms of blood clotting function. So the plasmas, the blood plasma or the plasma proteins, the plasma protein there are three plasma proteins. And we have one is albumin. All right. The next one is fibrinogen. And the other is globulin. So in terms of the globulin proteins, plasma protein, we have the globulin plasma protein. There are three types of globulin plasma protein. So we have the alpha globulin, the beta, and we also have the gamma. So these are the plasma proteins that you will also find within the plasma of the blood. All right. Then we have something called the nitrogenous waste. All right. Nitrogenous waste. Good. So nitrogenous waste is another one. All right. So nitrogenous waste, waste substances that are produced by the body. Good. Then, for example, muscle has nitrogenous breakdown. So this nitrogenous waste, for example, we have urea, we have uric acid. Right? So urea produced from the liver, the uric acid, and we also have the waste or the breakdown from muscles, we use creatine. Alright? So these are nitrogenous waste. Okay? So we get in there to complete it. And next we have nutrients. Okay? So we're going to use this small portion of the bowl. So we have nutrients. Now, the nutrients that we consume, they dissolve into the plasma, and then they are there and used by the cells of the body. So the nutrients, we have nutrients specifically, these are organic substances And these organic substances, we have like the amino acid, okay? The amino acid, good. Carbohydrate, specifically, most of the time we mention glucose, which is a simple carbohydrate. So glucose and other forms of carbohydrates. And so we have lipids. So the lipids can appear in the form of the glycolipid. Okay, we have triglyceride. Okay, and we also have some organic nutrients like cholesterol. All right, so these are nutrients that we can find within them, and we also have vitamins. Vitamins. All right, these are nutrients found within the plasma. Then we also have something, the iron. This iron represents what we refer to as the respiratory gases or blood gases. So respiratory gases, what are the respiratory gases? These are gases that have exchange in the lungs. So our body takes in oxygen, and this oxygen, when they are being used, the body produces what we call carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide then is taken back to the lungs and then put out through the process of exhalation. So these respiratory gases, we have oxygen, all right, which is carried by the red blood cells, and we have carbon dioxide. Right? So we say CO2. Good. So this is a waste gas that is removed from the lungs and is taken also by the same red blood cell. That is when it is deoxygenated, meaning it has no level of oxygen. They take this carbon dioxide back to the lung and refill. So these are the blood gases. They are very significant in terms of medical study, right? So if the blood gases are not balanced, trust me, there is something called the buffer system of the body. So in the buffer system of the body, it just does not have a balance. The acid-base balance system, it will result into some conditions like acidosis and alkalosis, which we will discuss in some of our biochemical lecture. All right. So lastly is the H represent humus. All right. So hormones are chemical messengers. They are chemicals that have been released into the body that carries information to cells. So these chemical messengers, we specifically look at like the steroid hormones. So steroid hormones are hormones that are specifically produced by these steroid hormones are produced from cholesterol, okay? They are produced from cholesterol. And these steroid hormones, for example, we have steroid hormones like steroid hormone like testosterone. Okay? So like testosterone or progesterone, these are all steroid hormones. And then we also have thyroid hormones. Alright, so thyroid hormones. And we also have the thyroid gland that is formed at this portion of the body. So the thyroid hormones, and they are very significant also in terms of regulation. So hormones are chemical messenger, but what they also do is that they are really good in terms of regulating the body, metabolisms, and growth, development, etc. Alright, so now we are done with the entire plasma component